I can barely remember this movie, and I'm pretty sure I never knew it had a game. The only memory I have of this movie is going to see it with my brother, and when it was all over I asked, "Was that movie good?" And my brother was just like, "No, that was not by any means a good movie."
Poser.
The PlayStation might hold the title for having the most movies turned into video games. And come on, a superhero movie in the superhero craze infancy featuring the lead cast of Ryan Reynolds? Oh yeah, you better believe this is getting made into a game. I'm pretty sure at the time I had no knowledge of this game's existence, but thanks to Bargain Bin Hobo, I am now enlightened to the PS3 wonder that is Green Lantern: Rise of the Manhunters. Our story takes place kind of like the movie does, except we just kind of bypass any idea that Hal Jordan had any semblance of a normal life before becoming a Green Lantern. And really, that's not a bad thing. I'm glad I'm not having to live the life of regular Hal and just getting to jump straight into a superhero story. The Lanterns find themselves under the attack of the Manhunters, and despite Hal having the title of Poozer,
How you doing, Poser?
he'll have to do most of the heavy lifting because why not? This is something that will be drilled into your head over and over during the first mission.
What are you waiting for, Earthman? Jump into the tower!
I know what to do, Sinestro.
And I hate this. I don't know where the idea that a game should tell you what to do over and over if it thinks you're not doing the objective fast enough, but man, this example is especially obnoxious. You'll probably hear these ear-grinding reminders a lot, because the combat surprisingly has a lot of depth, and you may find yourself trying out just everything you can do. The Green Lanterns specifically gain their strength from willpower, and use this power to manifest weapons and gadgets to suit their needs. This is something I think the developers really got right. Paired with willpower is the user's expansive imagination. They use this imagination to form all kinds of armaments and weaponry to give themselves an advantage over their opposition. And this conveyed in actual combat is great. Hal will perform all kinds of combo attacks that range from hammers to swords to even giant fists to slam down on the enemy. And the number of combos can be expanded with upgrades, which we'll get into in a minute, so the more you upgrade, the more complex and damaging your combos become. And the diversity of the combos would be one of the most appealing aspects if it wasn't completely shadowed by the Green Lantern ring's greatest feature, the ability to make constructs. Instead of attacking directly, you can unlock upgrades that make your ring take all kinds of forms, like hammers, landmines, railguns, and so much more. These moves do consume the ring's energy, so there is a limited time that you can perform these attacks, but by fighting normally and by killing the enemies, you're basically back to full, so you'll be spamming these skills more than relying on combat. Also, hey, there's a grabbing mechanic. Who cares about doing cool combos when you can just carry around bad guys like a balloon you got from the zoo? Wahoo! My biggest favorite is just shredding foes with a minigun and completely flattening Manhunters with the mega-sized hammer. You all might know how much I love a good hammer. But honestly, when you have weapons like these, you're going to prefer to use them over normal combat. And while the combat is fun, you'll more often than not have these guys in the background that just shoot you and interrupt your combo. So why not use a more fun option? Accompanying this feature is something I don't think I've ever seen done better, and that is the time it takes to buy upgrades. With some other games, you'll probably have a lot of abilities that you can upgrade, but you'll have all these options that get in the way of wanting that really big upgrade, so you don't end up getting it until near the end of the game. With Green Lantern, the upgrades come so fast and are so cheap that you'll have so much more to work with each passing stage. This may due in part that the game is pretty short, spanning about 7 hours total. But if I'm unlocking something new every 10 to 15 minutes, I am absolutely here for it. And it does help to keep the game feeling fresh. This is just something that really kept me checking my inventory and being surprised at just how much I could add onto it. If by some chance you're getting tired of all the gadgets at your disposal, the game does a pretty good job at breaking away into new types of gameplay. Moving from fighting baddies to suddenly becoming a rail shooter, then having to face large enemies with cinematic QuickTime events, to even having to solve the occasional puzzle or two. I didn't expect Green Lantern to take so many forms of gameplay, but if one licensed game was going to do this, then Green Lantern should absolutely be the game to keep mixing it up. I guess keeping my expectations low was a good thing, because I'm pretty surprised at how enjoyable this game could actually be. Of course, this game won't become your favorite, but I think saying it's not worth playing just isn't true. Of course, there are some bad spots here and there, you know, just from seeing the gameplay that Green Lantern isn't a unique experience. In fact, it's as close to God of War as you can get without bringing a lawsuit into question. And while not a huge complaint, the willpower of Green Lantern's might far outweighs the PS3's willpower to not make these frames drop when the combat gets heavy. My major hit is that the bosses do kind of come off feeling the same, where I think this would have been the perfect game to try doing something fresh in this regard. The creativity of a lantern should have really been showcased when it comes to these big cinematic boss battles, but I feel it just wasn't there. Don't expect a lot from the writing either. I feel like a lot of the conversations here come coupled with that weird, campy humor that only a superhero genre can really provide.
The Guardians and all associated with them must die. Now.
What the hell? What are you... Guess he didn't like answering questions.
I mean, while I do think it is in this version of Hal Jordan's nature to say something cheesy, it happens so often and sometimes comes coupled next to these moments where you don't think humor would fit in. The story, for what it's worth, is pretty clean cut. Usually one thing happening leading to another thing, while knowing that something much bigger is happening in the background. But it does have a nice inclusion of other types of lantern users, the voice acting is pretty good overall, and oh hey, Steve Blum is here.
I've come to learn how truly great my father was. All I ask of you, Earthman, is to honor his memory.
Honestly, when it comes to the overall presentation, Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters exceeds nearly any expectation I may have had for it. There are tons of God of War clones out there, but this may just be the one that deserves a playthrough, especially for the satisfactory progression of gameplay and short playtime. And don't we all have that one movie we'd love to see turned into a game? When the hell's this masterpiece coming out? Thanks for checking out my thoughts on a game I didn't think I'd enjoy. Special thanks to Bargain Bin Hobo for sending this one out. And if you liked the video, consider subscribing. And like this video if you enjoy what you saw. Have a great day, and keep it practical.